Hi, I'm Nina Rowan Heller, and welcome to Energy Advantage Session 5. So, in the first 4 sessions, we've really been talking a lot about mindset, mental energy, how to get that energy in, and also setting some goals. I want to do something on the recorded version that I usually do on the live version. And so, for just a moment, indulge me, and I want you to take a moment and feel your body. I want you to take a couple of breaths. I want you to feel your feet on the ground. I want you to feel your muscles. If you're standing, you can bend your knees just slightly. You can feel the muscles in your legs. If you're sitting, you want to feel the muscles touching the chair. Feeling your stomach muscles on because you're holding your body up. Feel your breath, that you should feel the expansion in the lungs. Feel maybe your back touching the back of the chair. Feel your shoulders. Were they up high, up close to your ears? Can we relax them? Is my chest up? Am I rolled forward? So I want you just to be reviewing. We call this a body status exam. You just go through and feel your body from head to toe. So I want you to take some breaths and feel your body from head to toe. It gives us a moment to slow down, to get present, to pay attention. So as you're breathing, whether you're standing or sitting, I want you to feel your lungs expand. I want you to feel, where do I feel the tension and tightness? Let that go. For many people right now, here is responsibility, burden, then we bring our shoulders up. So just breathe and let those relax. And if you need to, take your hands behind your back and do a little bit of a stretch where you can stretch your neck. Oftentimes when people do that for the first time, if they haven't done it today, you'll hear noises. That's okay. Just go ahead and stretch and breathe and move. Roll your shoulders. The reason that we do that is we are physical beings having a spiritual experience here on the planet. So if we are mentally thinking about things all day long, but we're actually not breathing and we're not bringing our body to the events that we have during the day, we end up having all our energy up here and our body is sort of left behind. If you want to have really powerful health and you want to have really great energy for the day, you want to make sure that you're involving your body the entire time. So when you're working, you do what is called the body status exam. You just take a deep breath and you're sort of scanning from head to toe, what's my body doing? So you take a deep breath and you scan from head to toe and go, wow, my shoulders are really up. I'm leaning forward. My stomach muscles aren't even on because I've actually been hunched over. I've rolled back and sitting weird in this chair and my neck is forward. Pull your head back above your spine and your torso. My knees are locked while I'm standing, so I'm not engaging the muscles. If we can do body status exams throughout the course of our day, we can keep our body going along with us. And what that does is that makes us more powerful. It makes us have more energy. So the reason we always call this collection of sessions that I do Energy Advantage is because there are things that we do that take our energy and there are things that we do that give us energy. So starting off with that body status exam, you can understand what's going on with your body. Now, something that mental health professionals do, in addition to body status exam, is mental status exam. And that's a really good thing to do during this time right now too, is that you mentally are checking what's going on in my mind. What am I thinking of? So for just a moment, if you are told something that is a little bit frightening or makes you trigger, and what I mean by that is that engages with a past experience or feeling that you have that's not about this moment, but it triggers that. So then you bring all the emotions from that past of being afraid or being scared or being really feeling off-centered because you were just told something that you were totally not prepared to deal with. So having a mental status exam, when you just do that and you check your body, see what your body's doing, and then mentally say, how am I doing? What am I thinking right now? What am I feeling? A lot of times what you'll be able to do is get to the point where your feeling is present. And what I mean by that is that you're feeling your feelings real time. Oftentimes that part that I said about triggering, that's in the emotional closet, that we have things from the past that, you know, the easiest example that we use a lot of times would be like a Vietnam vet that comes back and hears a car backfire and thinks it's a gun. The sound triggered all the feelings as if they were at war and were in that violent war situation when it was just a car. So it's something that's similar and then attaches to a past memory or an emotion. During this time where we have a lot of unknowns and uncertainty, you might pay attention. Are these things being brought up from my past? Now, what I tell clients, and this is really helpful, is to understand these are all gifts when we get an opportunity to bring up stuff from our past, those emotional things that we have in the closet of life. If something sort of brings up more emotion than what is the value of that moment, you might understand, wow, that's something else. And those are great things to address in your meditations or journals. Okay, so we go back to session 1 where we talk about what to put in your schedule. The very first thing to put in your schedule is prayer and meditation. Those are the times to really work on ourselves. Then the next thing was working out, meals, work, time with family and loved ones, doing for others, and our creative joy time. Those are the things that we have in our schedule. Having those things in our schedule, when we go back to prayer and meditation, if there are things that we are being triggered by, or it's connecting more emotion than what the value of what I just heard or I'm dealing with, those are things to pay attention to and write down. And then what you do is you process that and work on those and understand that's the past, this is now, and therefore you would be able to reconcile, work through. It might mean that you need to process something. Sometimes it just means to let the feelings go. Sometimes it really doesn't mean you need to call somebody and have a conversation with them and say, I'm really angry at you and I hated this part of our life when we were together. It doesn't mean any of that. It might just mean you write a letter as if you had the conversation and you burn it and say, I'm done. How to know when we don't have triggers is that you're able to have a conversation, to talk about something, to bring it up, and it doesn't have a visceral feeling. So for example, talking about, say, someone is talking about really struggling trying to find groceries in the grocery store. And then somebody else who has actually had times where they really were struggling financially and didn't have enough money for food, just hearing that starts the path of, oh my gosh, I remember when I didn't have that. And then the emotion is there. Our bodies are feeling that. So if we do mental status exams and body status exams and we understand about us, what we're feeling, it's much easier for us to actually process what's actually happening in the moment versus something that's a little bit clouded that happened in the past. And I think it's really great because in doing that, creating an opportunity to clean out the emotional closet of our life is a gift. It gives us the opportunity to be able to be real time with our emotions. And so things that might be really tough to handle aren't as tough because we're not adding anything extra to it. So that's the reason why during this time, if you're feeling some things where you've been watching the news and you think, gosh, I don't know why that wasn't so upsetting, but it made me really upset. You might just sit down and say, I'm going to journal a little bit, or what is it that popped up in my head? And it might even be a conversation to have with somebody. But those emotions impact how our body moves around in the world and how we do during the day. So when we talk about energy, if you're running a program on a computer in the background while you're trying to run a program that you're working with, it slows your program down. So that's what you want to be thinking about, this real-time emotion or things that we have in our emotional closet that get triggered, is those are programs running in the back of our mind. And it gets much easier to have clarity about what's happening in real time and also come up with solutions because you may not feel as vulnerable or you may feel a little bit more powerful if you're just dealing with the emotions of right now. So that's something that's been coming up. In the last week, I've been seeing with clients a lot of triggering. And those triggers have to do with all kinds of things. It doesn't even have to do necessarily with being sheltering in place and being at home. It may just be that you're having conversations with family members that you would normally have because everybody's getting on Zoom. You don't really need to necessarily know where it comes from. Just know when you feel it, address it. Write it down and then deal with it later during prayer and meditation time. So even if they pop up at random times during the day, you can write them down and deal with them during your time, which whenever you've scheduled that in your schedule. So last week we were talking a lot about goals. And after we've set some goals during this time, we talked about why this is a great time to set goals, because we've got a pattern interrupt in our life. Things have changed. And so that's a really good time. Crisis is a good time for change. We're like adolescent all across the planet. That's the best time for change. That's why I always love working with adolescents. They're in constant crisis. So we're in this time for change, so we're setting some goals. So last week, people looked at setting goals for this time, and it might be a physical goal, it might be a schedule goal, that they're making sure that you actually get everything in your schedule. It might be a goal that has to do with making a big change. Maybe, you're becoming vegan, or it might mean that you're going to take on something. I'm going to be doing a kind activity every day. Whatever the goal is, we've had a week now, and you can look and see what are the things that made that goal successful. What was I doing that allowed the goal to be accomplished? The number one thing that people oftentimes would say, what kept them from accomplishing the goal? And for 25 plus years, I'm hearing this all the time. Time. I don't have time. And so again, the number one challenge is time. Your schedule is your number one answer. If you put things in your schedule and you follow your schedule, then you actually are managing your time. So that challenge for most goals is easily remedied if you actually put in place the idea that you are going to follow your schedule. 25 years ago, when I started doing this kind of work, we had to set alarms on like watches, Casio watches. I'm going to go way back and date myself. Or those Timex marathon watches, and you would beep and they would remind you. Now we have so many tools. We have so many tools available. You can set an alarm that has your own voice in it that says, hey, remember, this is the time that we go eat something healthy. You can have pings in your calendar that ping you. You can do all kinds of things. So your calendar, if you just think about, the resources are all there to support you. So then the number one thing that keeps people from using their calendar, think about what you think that might be. The number one thing that people say that keeps them from using their calendar is eventually, when we dig deeper with great questions, we find that they don't like being controlled. I don't like being controlled. I don't like following the calendar. I don't like being told what to do. Well, here's the interesting thing. You want to think of that. That's the dark side of that, okay, is that you feel controlled. The light side of that, or the plus side that gives you some kind of energy in accomplishing, the plus side of that goal is to think of your calendar as your best assistant, not as someone telling you what to do. Nobody likes being told what to do. Some people really don't like being told what to do, even more than others. But if you think of your calendar as it's an assistant that you don't have to pay, and they are popping in telling you, Mr. So-and-so, your next appointment is here, so wrap it up. And if you can think of those kinds of things and use your calendar as a great assistant, it actually doesn't get you to fight against it. And it really is a great assistant, because if you set a goal and then you make sure that the activities to support that goal are in your calendar, then you don't have to think about the goal anymore. You just do the calendar. So, for example, people all the time say, I want to lose weight. Well, you don't wake up every day and say, today I'm going to lose weight. Today I'm going to lose weight. Today I'm going to lose weight. That's not the program. You say, I would like to lose weight. And we say, okay, great. That's the end goal. What are the activities? Okay, I'm going to drink a bunch of water during the day. Make sure I get at least a gallon of water in. I'm going to eat healthy. I'm going to have meals ready, prepared, so I don't eat weird stuff. It used to be that you wouldn't stop by fast food. Maybe that's not even an option anymore. You also, other activity, I need to move more. So I'm going to wear a Fitbit and I'm going to make sure I get 10,000 steps every day, or I'm going to exercise in the morning. I'm going to do a yoga class or a Pilates. So that's an activity that, again, the end result will be that you will get healthier and you will lose weight. So you wake up in the morning, and those activities, whether it be meals, drinking water, going to exercise, getting up and moving, they would all be in your schedule. You don't have to think about them. You don't have to do anything. You want to think of your schedule as your great assistant that you don't have to pay $100,000 a year. And they walk in and say, Mr. So-and-so, your next appointment is here. It's time to do exercise. And then you go and do it. And if you think that way and you just do your day, at the end of days of doing your schedule, the end result will be you will accomplish your goal. So health is a really easy one to look at for this business, sort of similar to, in order for people to grow their business, they have to do the activities that grow their business. If you're in sales, you got to be doing sales. That means you have to make so many calls. That means you have to go on so many out calls to go meet clients. Whatever it is, you're doing those activities. You're not waking up every day saying, I got to make sales, I got to make sales, I got to make money. You do the activities. So this last week, when you're looking at your goals, really look and see, did I set activities that will then result in my goals? The thing that's a challenge with this is that if you've had a goal that you've ever, let's just say, if you've had a goal that you've constantly not had success with, you have a history of all the challenges. And what happens in our brain is that our subconscious says, here's my goal. I'm going to stop eating chocolate because I don't need to eat any more sweets and I eat way too much chocolate. And inside my brain, in my subconscious, I may have had a history of saying the exact same thing and never having success. So what happens in my brain is my brain says, hey, we've heard this before. And you're never successful at it. So that's the idea that was attached to my new goal. When we actually look at our schedule and we put our activities in there that are related to our goal, we're able to start to break down what is the mind game that my mind plays with me about that goal. You know, I always love that January 1, I get calls and emails where people are like, I'm ready to lose weight this year. And my first question to them is, do we have this goal every year? Because if it's a goal every year, then we need to change that goal. And so maybe instead of I'm going to lose weight this year, the goal is I'm going to participate in a new kind of exercise activity and master it. And it may be like something really fun, like dancing. And the result of that will be that I will be moving and I will be losing weight and paying attention to what I'm eating, because I can't eat certain things and then go out and do this dancing that I had just signed up for. So again, change the goal if you're not having success. So last week, if something was on your goal list and you haven't been able to accomplish it at all, not even a day, then you know that that goal needs to be changed. If you were able to get some of it for some of the times, then look and say, if the challenge of the calendar, it's not the challenge of the calendar, then look at something else. What is it that's interfering? So then you start getting into what else, the program that you're running in your mind about, can I do something? Am I able to do this? Is this something that I actually don't feel confident or worthy that I can do? Or it kind of scares me a little bit. Then you might need some other kind of intervention. You need more education. Maybe you need to go online and learn some more things. Or you need somebody to do it with you. Or that is for accountability. Or you might need to change the goal. I had a client a couple of weeks ago that we talked about pick a goal for this time and do it. And he's like, I think I'm going to play the guitar. I got a guitar several years ago. I never got to playing it. So he spent a week working on this playing guitar goal. And after a week, I said, okay, so how did it go? And he said, it's interesting. I don't really like playing the guitar. So I said, great. Okay, you learned that. What's a different goal? I think it's singing. I really enjoy singing. I thought I might want to play the guitar. So that's another thing. Again, you can tweak your goal. It may have always sounded like a really cool thing to do. And then once you start doing it, you don't have the joy in it, or it's not what you thought it was going to be. So look at your goals. This is the time to reevaluate. And all of these things are about reevaluating you. My perspective as a health coach has always been, the more powerful I can help you become, the more you learn about yourself, the more you understand how your body works, the more you understand how your mind works, the more powerful you can become, you can accomplish anything. So during this time, that's the part you want to focus on. You want to focus on that optimism of, I can accomplish anything. I'm learning about myself. I've really learned a lot during this time that I never would have chosen. The times we learn the most are during those times where we are in situations we absolutely never would have chosen. Because those are the times that push us. That's the reach. That's the time we expand. So during this time, this is our reach, our expand time. Really use it, because again, we're not going to ever want to have this happen again, nor is it hopefully ever going to happen again. And we do know it's not going to ever happen again this way, because we will have learned some things. So things are going to be different after we come out of this. But those are all really great things to know and say, what does that teach me? All right, the last thing that I want to address. I want to address the issue of being connected. Okay, so this goes to our energy also, and I'm just going to hit on this. This is the reason I wore my shirt that says, we are all one. Something to understand, when we are having success and our energy is good and we are feeling good, it is really easy for us to impact others because we are energy. We actually have phase, angles, and capacitance, and we have an energetic part of us that actually is connected to other people. It's energy. So when we're in a really great place and we are carrying on with being really optimistic and looking at all the good in things and managing the challenges and saying, I can be solution focused. You don't have to live with your head in the sand. I do not believe in that at all. I believe that we are all creative solution people. We can come up with creative solutions, and together we can come up with all kinds of solutions. So during this time where we are working, where we're at home and isolated, to really understand we are actually all connected. We are all one. And what a better gift than to have the world all being in a situation where we're working together as one. And it may not seem like that sometimes. It may not seem that other people are even speaking to this at all. It may seem that they're working on that conflict place or trying to blame or shame or whatever. The reality is, if you get past that, because that's really sort of a mindset that keeps people stuck and is not a growth and learning mindset. And anybody that actually is going to watch up to this point and me talking in any class or coach with me knows we're learning, growth-oriented people. And growth-oriented people know that, okay, that may be something people feel, but then they go, okay, now let's look at solutions and think together we can accomplish a lot more. So we have this situation right now where everybody on the planet is working on the same challenges. And I thought I just wanted to end with that place of understanding that we're working together and focus on that, because what you focus on expands. I watched an interview with the space station, and the girl, and I'm going to forget her name, I hate to say that, I think it's Mir, or Mur, M-E-I-R, was the astronaut's name. Cute girl with curly hair that in weightlessness, maybe she either has a top ponytail or her hair just does that, I'm not sure. And they're coming back from being at the space station or out in orbit or something. I'm not even sure exactly where they are, but she said, they asked her, what do you think about coming back to the Earth right now? And she said, coming back here, no matter if we're having a crisis, this Earth is better to come back to no matter what. Being in an Earth that has a crisis. I totally messed up that quote, and that really bothers me. But she was saying that coming back to an Earth now, even with a crisis, is better than nothing. And she couldn't imagine doing anything else except coming back. So I want you just to be thinking, whenever you're starting to get that feeling, we have people all the way out in space. If you're feeling that you are alone, we are connected, and we have people all the way out in space that you're connected to, all around the world that you're connected to, that are all concerned and working on the same challenges that you are right now. And so just think, that makes us all much stronger. I'm Nina Rowan Heller. Thanks so much for joining me. Take care.